What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if we're going to get a new Uncharted game announcement in 2022. Is it possible? What are the odds? Stuff like that is what I want to talk about in this video. Obviously, for those that are new to the channel, Uncharted is a personal favorite of mine. It's my favorite gaming franchise of all time. So I have a little bit of a love for it. I guess a little bit of a biasness towards it as well. I really... there's obviously a couple different things with this, right? You have the movie, which comes out in mid-February that, I'm very 50-50 on, but I'm definitely seeing it day one. There's no doubt about that. And the question would be, I'm not saying like there's no movie tie-in game that exists here because of what the movie is, but is a game possible because of the movie, right? Does Sony try to line something up in that way? Not in terms of releasing it. In fact, if anything, Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy being remastered for the PS5 and PC, that is that game. You know what I mean? So that's already one that we have releasing, not on the date or even, I believe, in February or I guess in that week or weeks around it, but in that realm. You know what I mean? So we already have that one thing. And then the question for me would be, is this the year that you bring it back in general? And again, I don't mean releasing an Uncharted game next year. I just mean, announcing that something's happening. What's interesting with Sony, right? And by the way, this is not like a Sony versus Microsoft thing, because Microsoft has a lot of games that are kind of known. Not all of their games. In fact, some of them we don't know. But they have a lot of games that we know, and they're kind of spread out over the next couple of years. Sony... a thing that to me makes them kind of interesting, again, not better or worse, is just that we don't know actually a lot. I mean, we know like God of War, Horizon, Gran Turismo, Sifu, Stray, Pragmata. You can go down a list, and it is kind of a long list, which is exciting. But I think a lot of what makes Sony special in this way is that you don't really know what you're getting afterwards. You know what I mean? Like Ghost of Tsushima 2, like, is that something, right? But, like, do you bring Infamous back? Sly Cooper, like, is that happening? And if it is it a new Sly or is it a remaster? You bring Bloodborne back eventually. I mean, you can go back actually throughout all their franchises and say, is this the year? Resistance, Infamous, all these games, right? Could we see them? Could we see brand new games from these teams? What about The Last of Us as multiplayer? I mean, there's so many options, and again, that's what makes it kind of cool. Uncharted is just one of, however many I just said, right? 10 to 20 different possibilities that you could do. However, Uncharted does have one thing to it that the rest don't necessarily have, is the heavy rumor that something was already happening. If you remember, right, back with Sony Bend, the makers, or Bend Studio, the makers of Days Gone, throughout that entire arc of just not really being sure what they were doing, and then we finally figured out kind of what happened with Days Gone 2 and being put on different teams and then coming back to work on their own game. One of the most interesting things that came out from that, remember, is that part of that team was actually working on an Uncharted remake, and they were unsure if they were going to do an Uncharted prequel or an Uncharted remake, and I think they settled for a remake of the first game. Now, I'm not exactly a huge fan of that idea. Could Uncharted 1 benefit from a remake? Definitely. It absolutely could. But it is also the weakest one. And I think that also comes with its story and just a lot of, and even its gameplay. I guess the gameplay you could kind of fix up through a remake. But I think the thing's kind of holding it back from the legendary status that is, in my opinion, 2 through 4. I don't really think you can achieve that with a remake. So in my opinion, a remake for Uncharted 1 wouldn't really... I guess it wouldn't make much sense. Would I buy it day one? Probably. Okay, but it wouldn't make much sense. Now, again, though, that's what we had heard the most of that they were actually working on, and then the team was moved off of it and onto their own game. So the status of what was debatable, whether it was a prequel or going to be a prequel or a remake, and then probably settling on an Uncharted remake, is now unknown. Did Sony give it to a different studio? Is Naughty Dog helping with it, or they're working on it? We don't really know. Now, if Naughty Dog was working on The Last of Us' remake and Uncharted remake, I think that would be one of the worst, usages of, like using their talents and using what you have at your disposal. It would be one of the worst examples of it in humankind. I don't even know the words to describe how sad I think that entire state would be. But, again, could it be somebody else? Maybe. So that's the thing to me that, with Uncharted, Infamous, like there has been some signs that maybe Infamous comes back. When it comes to like Resistance and stuff like that, obviously there's a bit of a stretch, and you're just kind of saying, well, it could, but it also couldn't, and there's really nothing to back it up, right? But for Uncharted, like, odds are they were working on an Uncharted 1 remake. So then the question is, is there somebody else out there, or did they maybe scrap the whole idea, but they're like, we want to do another Uncharted? Look, I guess the basic idea too is maybe much like Halo with Master Chief and just, I guess, that franchise in general, Uncharted is probably too profitable and too good of a series and something that's so synonymous with PlayStation and its quality and stuff like that. It's probably too high up there to ever let go. And I actually really respect them and hope that they do leave where Uncharted 4 left Nate as that, like, his final main. Now, if they bring him back for cameos or whatever, or it's like a small part, fine. But to, like, end it there, I actually have great respect for that, because you were able to let a character go when you felt like you couldn't take him any further. You wanted to end on a high note. You didn't want to just, take out this character over and over and over again and kind of milk it. And I'm not saying that's what they do with Halo. I'm just saying, like, you don't, because everybody does it differently, right? You don't want that to happen to your main character. You don't want it to get stale. You don't want it to get bad. So I actually have great respect for them for doing that. But on the flip side of that, again, the name Uncharted, and maybe it's tied with Nate, and I mean, they will find that out really soon. You know what I mean? Without Nathan Drake being around, if they do a prequel or if they do a spin-off game with not even like Chloe or Nadine, just something completely different, they may realize really quickly whether it is just tied to Nate or not, and then you will have to make a decision if you want to end the franchise or not. But I just think right now, where we stand right now, they haven't even tried that yet. Again, like Lost Legacy aside, but Lost Legacy was around the time of Uncharted 4. So I'm talking about like years later now, maybe not even using those characters, just starting another group of characters in the Uncharted universe. Does that work without Nathan Drake? They haven't even, now, do I think it may work? I actually feel like it probably won't work, but they haven't even tried it yet. So I guess the main point here is maybe much like the other franchises, Infamous, etc., but Uncharted probably being the highest one. It's such a big seller. It sold PlayStation consoles. It sold people on the idea of PlayStation. It's too valuable not to do more of it. And you see, I mean, they wouldn't be making a movie, I don't think, if they didn't see value in it long term, right? Even though I don't know if the movie's going to turn out well, or I don't know if it's going to turn out to have sequels, but I think that's a big sign too that there's definitely more coming with Uncharted. So the question is, there's a lot of unknowns with Sony, even beyond, I'd say, the first 4 or 5 months of this upcoming year. So a lot of that stuff has to be filled in, and is Uncharted one of them? It could definitely be one of them. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. Obviously, if there's any Uncharted news, I will for sure cover it on my channel. If you guys want to follow me anywhere else, I have a Twitter, I have a second channel. I also have Patreon and YouTube memberships. Links for them all are in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.